All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a pretty radical new idea in AI. It's one that takes its cues not from computer science, but from biology. It asks this wild question: what if an AI could actually evolve its own way of thinking?
Okay, so let's get right into it. We all know AIs are incredible at processing just massive amounts of data, right? But getting them to truly reason, to think through really complex problems, that's the next big hurdle. So the question that's on every researcher's mind is, how do we get past just simple number crunching and into something that looks like genuine, effective reasoning?
And that leads us to this, well, kind of mind-bending idea. What if, instead of us trying to program better and better logic from the outside, what if we built a system where the AI could evolve its own problem-solving strategies? You know, getting smarter and more efficient all on its own through a process that's basically a dead ringer for natural selection. So, to really wrap our heads around this, we need to look at a pretty recent breakthrough. You see, traditional AI, it usually thinks in a straight line. It follows one single path, hoping to find an answer. But there's this new approach called parallel deep thinking. You might have heard about it. Google's Gemini used it to snag a gold medal in a math Olympiad, and it does something totally different. It explores tons of different paths, all at the same time. It's really like having a whole team of thinkers working on a problem instead of just one.
Okay, and this is where the idea gets really cool. Some researchers at a group called Grandma's Boy Labs looked at this parallel thinking, and it made them think of nature. They give this great analogy. Think of a huge swarm of tadpoles in a pond. Every single tadpole is a tiny bit different, right? It's like a small genetic experiment. And then the environment, the pond, puts them all under this intense pressure, and only the very fittest get to survive and pass on their genes. So, what if AI reasoning could work just like that?
So, to actually make that happen, they came up with this core concept they call the reasonome. And yeah, you can hear the word genome right in there, and that is 100% the point. The reasonomic is basically the DNA for an AI's thought process. It's this whole collection of, let's call them modular logic units, that spell out exactly how it's going to tackle any problem you throw at it.
So what does this AI DNA actually look like? Well, the researchers break it down into three main parts. First, there's the ORI. Think of it like a starter pistol. It's the thing that fires and tells the AI, okay, we've got a problem, time to get thinking. Second, you have what are called modular operons. Now, these are the real genes of logic, things like deduction or induction or figuring out cause and effect. And finally, you've got the promoter/repressor. This part is like a manager, and its job is to look at the situation and decide which logic genes to switch on or off.
Okay, so when you take that reasonomic concept and you combine it with that evolutionary pressure we were just talking about, boom, you get what they call genetic parallel deep thinking, or GPDT. And the whole idea here is that you don't just have one reasonomic, you have a whole population of them living inside a single AI. And this population of competing ideas can then be tested, selected, and basically bred to evolve better and better and better solutions over time.
And this whole thing follows a pretty classic evolutionary cycle. Here's how it goes. First, you create a big, diverse population of different reasoning strategies. Then you throw a problem at them and test every single one, scoring them on how well they do. That's their fitness. The best ones, the fittest, they get chosen to reproduce. Their logic gets mixed together and even changed a little bit. That's mutation, to create a whole new generation. And this is the really crucial part. It's the ideas themselves that are evolving, not the AI agents. I mean, this is a fascinating theory, right? It's elegant, it's inspired by literally the most powerful problem solver in the known universe, evolution. But it also raises the big, obvious question that any skeptic would ask. That sounds great, but does it actually work? Can you really make an AI evolve a better way of thinking in a practical, real-world test?
Well, the answer is yes. The researchers at Grandma's Boy Labs didn't just sit around and theorize about it. They actually built a system to put genetic parallel deep thinking on trial and see if it could really live up to all that promise.
So, here's the setup for their experiment. They took a classic coding problem, one called two-sum. The challenge wasn't just to solve it. Lots of programs can do that. The real goal was to see if the system could evolve the most time-efficient solution possible. So they started with a population of 100 different reasonomes, each one with a different strategy for solving the problem. And then they just let it run, let it evolve for 500 generations.
And the results? Well, in the words of the lead researcher himself, they saw consistent improvements in the best reasonome fitness across all their simulations. To put that in plain English, it worked. The evolutionary pressure was real, and the system consistently, generation after generation, found better ways to solve the problem.
And this chart just illustrates that result perfectly. Look over on the left. That's the average fitness of the strategies they started out with. Kind of low. But then look at the bar on the right. That's the fitness of the best solution that popped out after 500 generations of evolution. I mean, the jump in performance isn't just noticeable, it's huge. It's a massive leap.
But here's what's maybe even more interesting. This chart shows us how it got better. The system didn't just stumble upon a slightly better version of what it started with. No way. It actually evolved towards the most efficient class of algorithm for this specific problem, what programmers call an O of N solution. And look at this. A full 60% of the final, successful population had evolved to use this optimal approach. This proves the system wasn't just getting a little better, it was evolving towards genuine peak efficiency.
So at the end of the day, the takeaway from this experiment is really simple, but also really powerful. The theory actually worked in practice. They built a system where an AI could take the rules of evolution, apply them to its own thought process, and literally evolve a more efficient way to reason all by itself.
Okay, so this is way more than just a cool experiment. It's a proof of concept that just blows the doors open on some thrilling possibilities. If an AI can improve its own logic, what does that actually mean for us, for our future? What could a world powered by this kind of self-evolving intelligence even look like?
Let's start small, on a personal level. The paper talks about this idea called Evolving Personal Superintelligence, or EPSI. Just imagine having an AI companion that doesn't just respond to your commands. Instead, it actively evolves its own reasoning to better understand you and help you out. It could lead to what they call hyperlearning, where it helps you process and connect ideas from, say, 100 different books at once. Or if you're stuck on a really tough problem, your AI could farm it for you, testing thousands of different approaches until it evolves the absolute best solution.
But of course, the impact could be so much bigger than just that. We could apply this same tech to the world around us. Think about smart cities that could evolve traffic flow in real time to make gridlock a thing of the past. Or precision farming, where AI evolves the perfect strategy for every single plant, optimizing crop yields and fighting off disease. And what about healthcare? It could sift through millions of patients' data in parallel, evolving new ways to spot diseases and finding hidden connections that no human doctor could ever see.
Now, of course, with any tech that's this powerful, you have to talk about the risks. And to be clear, the researchers who wrote this paper are very upfront about this. They point out that an AI that can evolve solutions super quickly could, in the wrong hands, be dangerous in areas like bioterrorism or cybersecurity. They also, and rightly so, bring up serious concerns about surveillance and stress that we absolutely need to develop strong ethical guidelines as this technology develops.
And that really brings us to the final big thought here. Just for a second, forget all the specific applications. Think about the fundamental idea. We are right on the edge of creating systems that can evolve intelligence. So if an AI can evolve its own logic, its own ways of solving problems, what will it eventually figure out? And maybe more importantly, what will that teach us about the nature of thinking, of creativity, of intelligence itself?